The Ole Miss Rebels football program represents the University of Mississippi, also known as Ole Miss. The Rebels compete in the Football Bowl Subdivision FBS of the National Collegiate Athletic Association (ncaa) and the Western Division of the Southeastern Conference (SEC). As of 2020, the team is coached by Lane Kiffin. The Rebels play their home games at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium on the university's campus in Oxford, Mississippi. Founded in 1893 as the state's first football team, Ole Miss has won 6 Southeastern Conference titles in 1947, 1954, 1955, 1960, 1962, and 1963. The team has been co-national champion once, with Minnesota in 1960, the only time that Ole Miss has been acknowledged by the NCAA. Ole Miss, however, has never finished the season number 1 in the AP or coaches poll. Enter your text to speak history. The Ole Miss football team played its first season in 1893, and since then have fielded the team every year except for 1897 due to a yellow fever epidemic, and 1943 due to World War II. In the first season, the team compiled a 4-1 record under head coach Alexander Bondurant. In 1899, Ole Miss became a member of the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Association (SIAA). The program then joined the Southern Conference in 1922 and the Southeastern Conference in 1933. In 1947, Johnny Vaught became head coach and led the team to its first conference championship. Vaught coached Ole Miss for 25 seasons, compiling the 190-61-12 record and winning 6 conference championships, 3 national championships, and 10 bowl games. Since Vaught's departure in 1973, the Rebels have gone through a number of head coaches, none of them able to replicate the success of the Vaught era. The longest tenured coach since Vaught was Billy Brewer, who in 11 seasons from 1983 to 1993 compiled the 68-55-3 record and won 3 bowl games. The team's head coach is Lane Kiffin, who took over a role in 2019 after Matt Luke was fired following the 4-8 2019 season and an Egg Bowl loss to rival Mississippi State 20-21. Johnny Vaught era 1947-1970 and 1973. The modern era of Ole Miss football began in 1947, when Harold Drew was ousted in favor of his line coach, Johnny Vaught. The former All-American at Texas Christian University (TCU), Vaught led the Ole Miss program to national prominence over the next 24 years, posting 23 winning records and making the team the fixture in the national polls. Under Vaught, Ole Miss won the 1959 Dunkel System National Championship, the 1960 Football Writers Association of America Dunkel System and Williamson System National Championships, and the 1962 Lichtenhaus Ratings National Championship. Just 2-7 in 1946, the Rebels went 9-2 in Vaught's first season at the helm, winning the first of his 6 SEC titles: 1947, 1954, 1955, 1960, 1962, 1963. The 1947 season also saw Ole Miss great Charlie Comerly become the first Rebel player to seriously contend for the Heisman Trophy, placing 4th in the voting. The Rebels were among the winningest programs in the country during the 1950s. From 1950 to 1959, Ole Miss posted an 80-21-5 record .778 winning percentage. The .778 winning percentage was third only to Oklahoma and Miami OH during that decade. Vaught's 1959 squad, which was honored as the SEC Team of the Decade, was ranked the 3rd best collegiate football team from 1956 to 1995. By Jeff Sagarin ratings in January 1996. In the 1960s, Vaught guided the Rebels to a 77-25-6 record and a .740 winning percentage, which was the 9th best during that decade. The Rebels were ranked atop the Associated Press poll for 3 weeks during the 1960 season and 1 week during the 1961 campaign. The 1960 unit is the only team to win a national championship that is recognized by the NCAA and the college football community at large. That squad finished 10-1. The only blemish was a 6-6 tie against LSU. Ole Miss was presented with the Grantland Rice Trophy by the Football Writers of America after its Sugar Bowl victory, though that did not carry the same weight of the wire service voting AP and coaches poll, which selected Minnesota as the national champion. The Rebels' 1962 season is Ole Miss' only undefeated and untied season, 10-0. They capped off the season with a victory in the Sugar Bowl, but finished number 3 in both major polls. In 1964, Ole Miss was ranked preseason number 1 in the Associated Press poll, but finished with a dismal 5-5-1 record at season's end. Vore also made going to postseason play the norm rather than the exception for the Rebel football program. Ole Miss played in 15 consecutive bowl games from 1957 to 1971, a national record at the time. In all, Vore led Ole Miss to 18 bowl games, posting a 10-8 record. For his efforts, Vore was named SEC Coach of the Year 6 times: 1947, 1948, 1954, 1955, 1960, 1962. Vore coached some of the best players in Ole Miss football history and produced 26 All-America first-teamers. He also coached for players who finished in the top 5 in the Heisman Trophy voting: Coke in 1947, Charlie Flowers 5th in 1959, Jake Gibbs 3rd in 1960, and Archie Manning 4th in 1969, 3rd in 1970. Failing health forced Vaught to resign his position in 1970. He was succeeded by Billy Kinnard. Billy Kinnard era 1971 to 1973. Billy Kinnard became the first Ole Miss alumnus to head up the football program, while Frank Bruiser Kinnard, an offensive line coach under Vaught since 1948, was named athletic director that same year. The Rebels went 16-9 under Billy Kinnard, including a 10-2 record and a 41-18 Peach Bowl victory over Georgia Tech in his first year in 1971. Kinnard's 10 victories are tied for fourth most by a first-year head coach in NCAA Division I history. Kinnard coached the Rebels through the 1972 season and through the third game of the 1973 season. After the disappointing 5-5 season in 1972, the alumni were advocating to have Kinnard removed as head coach. The administration fired Kinnard after the Rebels started the 1973 season 1-2. The two losses were a shutout to Missouri, 17-0, and an upset by Memphis State, 17-13. Both Billy Kinnard and Frank Kinnard were fired, and Johnny Vaught was rehired as both the head coach and athletic director. Following the 1973 football season, Vaught resigned once again as head coach, but remained on as athletic director. His final record with the Rebels was 190-61-12. The 190 victories still rank Vaught in the top 25 winningest coaches in NCAA Division I history, and he is the fourth winningest coach in SEC history. In 1979, Vaught was inducted in the National College Football Hall of Fame. Ken Cooper era 1974-1977. Ken Cooper, an assistant under Kinnard since 1971, was named head coach on January 17, 1974, and took Ole Miss through the 1977 season. Cooper compiled a 21-23 record, and his tenure is probably best remembered for the matchup with Notre Dame in September 1977. In one of the most memorable games in Rebel football history, Ole Miss upset Notre Dame, 20-13 in Mississippi Memorial Stadium on September 17, 1977, in Jackson. That loss was Notre Dame's lone setback of the 1977 campaign, as they finished the season with an 11-1 record and claimed both the AP and UPI national titles. Cooper is now the assistant head coach and offensive line coach at Benedictine Military School in Savannah, Georgia. Steve Sloan era 1978-1982. Following the 1977 season, Steve Sloan, the former All-American quarterback at Alabama under Paul Bear Bryant, was hired as the new Rebel head coach and began his 5-year stint in 1978. Sloan posted a 20-34 record from 1978 to 1982. Billy Brewer era 1983-1993. After stepping outside the Ole Miss family football tree the previous 9 seasons, Ole Miss looked for a familiar face to lead the football program, and the Rebels found that person when Billy Brewer returned to Oxford to take over as head coach in December 1982. In his first season in 1983, Brewer guided the Rebels to their first winning regular season since 1977 with a 7-2 record Tulane win result of forfeit. The Rebels also went to their first bowl game since 1971, losing to Air Force 9-3 in the Independence Bowl. Brewer remained in Oxford for another 10 seasons, leading the Rebels to 5 winning seasons and 4 bowls. including Ole Miss 1990 New Year's Day Gator Bowl appearance, which was the program's first January bowl game since 1969. He was named SEC Coach of the Year in 1986, 8-3-1 record and 1999 3 record, and in 1986, the Rebels returned to the national rankings for the first time in over a decade. Brewer coached 11 years 1983-93 and compiled a 68-55-3 record, making him at the time the second winningest Ole Miss football coach behind Vaught. Brewer also led Ole Miss to 8 Egg Bowl victories over rival Mississippi State. Brewer was dismissed just prior to the 1994 season after the NCAA Infractions Committee found him guilty of unethical conduct, and Ole Miss defensive coordinator Joe Lee Dunn took over as interim coach, directing the Rebels to a 4-7 record under difficult circumstances, highlighted only by a 34-21 victory over rival LSU. Tommy Tuberville era 1995-1998. On December 2, 1994, Tommy Tuberville was selected as the coach in charge of getting the Rebels on the right track. After serving as an assistant coach on the collegiate level for 9 seasons, 8 at Miami and 1 at Texas A&M, Tuberville began creating excitement in his first season in 1995, finishing the campaign with a 6-5 record and an Egg Bowl victory over Mississippi State. That excitement grew in 1997, when Ole Miss recorded its best season since 1992 with an 8-4 record, a thrilling 15-14 Egg Bowl victory over Mississippi State and a Motor City Bowl win over Marshall University. The bowl appearance was the program's first since 1992, and the Rebels earned a final national ranking of number 22 in both polls. The revitalized Ole Miss program continued in its success in 1998, but suffered a setback after the Egg Bowl went to Tuberville, despite repeated assurances that he would not leave and even going so far as to say, "They'll have to take me out of here in a pine box." Agreed 2 days later to become the head coach at SEC West rival Auburn University. David Cutcliffe era 1998-2004. David Cutcliffe took over as head coach on December 2, 1998. Cutcliffe, who came to Ole Miss from his offensive coordinator post at Tennessee, took over the reins just 29 days before the Rebels' Sanford Independence Bowl date versus Texas Tech. Despite the short preparation time for the game, Cutcliffe led the Rebels to a 35-18 victory over the Red Raiders, quite arguably the biggest upset of the 1998 bowl season. Cutcliffe brought with him to Oxford the high-powered offensive style that energized the Rebel fan base. In the time from 1997 to 2003, the Rebels played in 6 bowl games, tied with Arkansas for the most bowl appearances among SEC Western Division schools during that span. Cutcliffe had 4 winning seasons in his first 5 seasons at Ole Miss, in 1999 8-4, 2007 2-5, 2001 7-4, and 2002 7-6, becoming the first Rebel mentor since Harry Muir 1938-41 to post winning marks in his first 5 years. Cutcliffe also directed Ole Miss to 4 bowl appearances in his first 5 seasons. In 2003, Cutcliffe guided the Rebels to a 10-3 overall mark and a share of the SEC West title with eventual BC's national champion LSU. Following their 31-28 victory over Oklahoma State in the Cotton Bowl Classic, the Rebels finished number 13 in the final poll. It was Ole Miss' first New Year's Bowl since the 1991 Gator Bowl against Michigan. Despite his 44-29 record, 5 straight winning seasons, and guiding the team to its first 10-win season in over 30 years, Cutcliffe was fired by Ole Miss's athletic director Pete Boone in December 2004 after the team posted a disappointing 4-7 record and 3 consecutive losses to LSU. Ed Orgeron era 2005-2007. Ed Orgeron, regarded as one of college football's premier defensive line coaches and recruiters, was named the 35th head football coach in the history of the University of Mississippi on December 16, 2004. Orgeron, who took control of the Ole Miss program after serving the previous 7 seasons as defensive line coach at the University of Southern California, and played a role in Pete Carroll's Trojan Championship in 2004. He also served as USC's recruiting coordinator from 2001 to 2004 and was named assistant head coach in 2003. Orgeron was named the 2004 National Recruiter of the Year by the Sporting News and Rivals.com. Orgeron's talent as a recruiter created a buzz among Rebel fans and drew national attention when Ole Miss 2006 signing class ranked as high as 15th in the rankings. His 2007 recruiting class was also listed among the best in college football, number 31 according to Scout.com. However, his recruiting success did not translate to on-the-field performance. In 2007, Ole Miss was last in the SEC in scoring offense, turnover margin, rushing offense, rushing defense, punt returns, opponent first downs, red zone defense, opponent third down conversions, field goal percentage, time of possession and kickoff coverage. The 2007 season was an unmitigated disaster for the Rebels. They went winless in the SEC for the first time since 1982 and ended the season 3-9-0-8 in SEC play. Orgeron was fired on November 24, 2007. 3 days later, Houston Nutt was hired as the next head football coach. Houston Nutt era 2008-2011. On November 27, 2007, Houston Nutt was hired as the 36th head football coach of the Ole Miss Rebels, just 5 weeks after having defeated Ole Miss as the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. During Nutt's first season, he guided the Ole Miss Rebels to a 9-2 record with marquee victories over the eventual BC's national champion Florida Gators squad, the reigning BC's national champion LSU Tigers, and the Texas Tech Red Raiders in the 2009 Cotton Bowl Classic. The Rebels posted their 600th win on September 27, 2008. Then they defeated the Florida Gators 31-30. At the end of this season, the Rebels were ranked in the top 15 in both major polls. Nutt's tenure at Ole Miss crested with the 2009 season, and the Rebels would only win the total of 6 games in the next 2 years. In 2011, they went winless in SEC play. On November 7, 2011, due to what the espn called the total decline of the program over the past 2 years, Athletic Director Pete Boone forced Nutt to resign at the end of the season. NCAA investigators later concluded that Nutt had allowed student-athletes to play while ineligible. Due to these violations, as well as others committed by his successor, Hugh Freeze, in 2019 the NCAA punished Ole Miss by stripping the team of 33 wins over 6 seasons. This included all 4 wins in 2010 and 2 wins in 2011, making them officially the first winless seasons for the Rebels in over a century. Hugh Freeze era 2011-2017. On December 5, 2011, Hugh Freeze was announced as the new head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels football team. Freeze was previously the head coach at Arkansas State and had previously been the tight ends coach and recruiting coordinator from 2005 to 2007. In his first year he went 7-6 and finished the regular season with a win over rival Mississippi State. The Rebels won their bowl game against Pitt in the BBVA Compass Bowl. In Freeze's second year, the Rebels went 8-5, 3-5. The 2013 Rebels defeated then 6th-ranked LSU on a last-second field goal in Oxford and capped off the season with a 25-17 victory over Georgia Tech in the Music City Bowl. In 2014, Freeze led Ole Miss to one of its strongest seasons in 4 decades. The Rebels spent most of the season in the top 10, rising as high as 3rd in October, their highest ranking at that late stage in the season in almost half a century. They ultimately finished 9-3, only the 3rd time since Vorp's tenure that a Rebel team has won as many as 9 games. This garnered them a berth in the 2014 Peach Bowl, their first major bowl appearance since 1969. Freeze led to the Rebels to another strong season in 2015, perhaps the program's strongest since the undefeated and untied season of 1962. The 2015 season featured wins over ranked SEC West rivals LSU and Mississippi State, but was headlined by a road victory over then No. 2 ranked Alabama, their first win in Tuscaloosa since 1988 and only the first time they had beaten the Tide in back-to-back seasons. Ole Miss controlled their own destiny in the SEC West for much of the 2015 campaign, but ultimately finished in 2nd place. The Rebels earned a trip to the 2016 Sugar Bowl, their first appearance in this bowl game since 1970, where they beat Oklahoma State 48-20. Freeze led the Rebels to their first 10-win season since 2003, and only the 3rd since the Vaudra. On July 28, 2017, Freeze resigned after Ole Miss officials learned that he had used the university-provided cell phone to place calls to an escort service in a concerning pattern that began shortly after he took the job in 2011. NCAA investigators later concluded the Freeze had cheated on 15 occasions by breaking recruiting rules and allowing students to play who had not maintained the required academic standing. They also determined that his predecessor, ncaa, had broken similar rules. This constituted one of the worst violations ever, and in 2019 the NCAA punished Ole Miss by stripping the team of 33 wins over 6 seasons, including 7 from 2012, 8 from 2014, and 5 from 2016. This changed Freeze's official record that Ole Miss from 39 to 25 over 5 seasons to 12 to 25. The NCAA also banned the team from postseason play for 2 years, stripped it of scholarships for 4 years, and placed it on 3 years of probation. In 2019, the NCAA vacated 33 of the team's victories dating from 2010 to 2016 and levied the 2-year ban on postseason play as punishment for recruiting and academic violations under both Houston ncaa and Freeze. Matt Luke here at 2017 to 2019 co-offensive coordinator Matt Luke was named interim head coach the same day. In November 2017, Luke was named the permanent head coach after leading the Rebels to a 6-6 record, including a 31-28 Egg Bowl win over Mississippi State. In the 2019 Egg Bowl, Luke's recruit Elijah Moore performed a post-touchdown mockery of a urinating dog, costing the Rebels a penalty and ultimately losing the game by a missed extra point 20-21. Luke was dismissed after the game. Lane Kiffin at 2022 present on December 7. Following the FAU's blowout win in the CUSA championship game, it was confirmed by Ole Miss AD Keith Carter that Lane Kiffin, the then coach of FAU, would be the next head coach at Ole Miss. In his first season, Kiffin compiled a 5-5 record in an all-SEC conference schedule, including a 26-20 win over Indiana in the Outback Bowl in Tampa, Florida. Uniforms: Ole Miss primarily uses 4 jersey options along with 2 pant styles and 2 helmet variations. They often mix and match these jerseys, helmets, and pants to create a wide range of uniform combinations. Since the 2017 season, Ole Miss has taken the field in at least 10 different uniform combinations. The Rebels use red jerseys for their primary home uniforms and blue jerseys as alternates. Both have bold white numbers and white vertical shoulder stripes. White jerseys with red numbers and stripes are used on the road. These jerseys are paired with either gray pants with red and blue stripes, though for the 2018 season were paired with white pants with red stripes as part of a white-out uniform combination. A similar white road uniform with navy stripes and letters has also been used. Typically, Ole Miss uses one of 2 helmet designs. The Rebels' primary helmet is navy blue with a single red stripe and Ole Miss written in script on each side. The other helmet's blue is a lighter color, a shade known as powder blue. In recent years, the powder blue helmet has seen more and more use. Since its reintroduction in the 2019 season, the Rebels have worn powder blue helmets in over half their games, typically with their red or white jerseys. The Rebels have also made extensive use of their new powder blues, a uniform combination consisting of solid white pants, the powder blue jersey with white shoulder stripes, and the powder blue helmet. In 2017, Ole Miss used special helmets for a military appreciation game against Louisiana and a rivalry game against LSU. The military appreciation helmets, which have been worn multiple times since then in both navy and powder blue variations, were the same as the primary design, except the logo on each side of the helmet was filled with an American flag design. The helmets worn against LSU were powder blue with jersey numbers on each side, similar to a design worn by the Rebels in the 1960s.